This video is going to cover clearing your forms after you submit a message. So in this case, the last message I sent was yeah, and this form wasn't cleared. And it's also going to cover the case where you send a message into the chat and you don't get scrolled down when the new message appears. So those are just two cases where stimulus can be helpful because you can quickly inject some JavaScript code. So we'll just go through and we'll implement those real fast. I'll just leave this minimized. And I'll come over to the actual VS Code. And then close all this and we can get started. So the first thing we're going to want to do, I imagine, is start with the resetting of the forms, because that's actually the easiest piece of JavaScript. So for this, we'll come into App, JavaScript Controllers, right click, New File, and we'll say reset _ form _ controller.js. Now in this case, I had stimulus installed already. So I have a couple of example files here, and one of them is this hello controller.js. We're going to be doing pretty much exactly this, where we start off by importing a controller from @hotwired/stimulus, and that is coming from our config and our Rails 7 import map, where we are import mapping this pinned @hotwired/stimulus to the stimulus.min.js. Then we're calling preload true. If you aren't using import maps, you need to import the stimulus JS somehow, and then switch your import from @hotwired to whatever you imported. But in this case, I'm using the default Rails 7 build for now, so we're just going to be using the import mapped stimulus. So now we can say export default class extends controller. And then we just say reset, because this is the reset of the form. And then we call this .element.reset, as GitHub Copilot is so helpfully pointing out. We can then save this. And then we really only need to come into our views and the form that we're going to be resetting. So in this case, I'll say the new message form. And then in the new message form, we have the form width, and I'm just going to put a comma after the class, go down one, we'll say data. And then we want the controller to be the reset-form, and the action to be turbo : submit-end arrow to the reset-form controller reset action. And this part right here might seem mysterious, so let's just cover this real quick. If you go over to Google and you search for it, you'll find the turbo.wired.dev/reference/events page. And on this page, you can Control F for submit end. So these are all of the different events that can fire from Turbo. Submit end is just the thing that fires after the form has successfully submitted a network request. So after that network request completes, then this event fires. That means this event fires after the form is submitted. And when this event fires, it calls the reset form, reset action, which is this right here, which just calls element.reset on the form. So now that we have this set up, let's go ahead and let's refresh just to make sure. Come down here and we'll just say, you guys still doing okay. We'll hit enter. And the form gets cleared and our new message is now down here. So we're not being scrolled down yet. Now I'd like to add it to the rooms as well. And this is where it actually gets pretty easy. If we come back into our new message form, and if I full screen this, if we just grab this comma to this brace right here, press Control-C to copy it, go down to our other form, which is the new room form. And then we come to the end here after the class, paste it in, same exact data, controller is the reset form, same reset action. So we'll save this, we'll refresh, and then we'll say, this is going to be the chat channel for, I don't know, YouTubers. So this is where YouTubers go to tell each other to subscribe or something. And there you go. It just clears the form just like that. So now I'd like to make it so that when I spam the test chat, like I've been doing over here, it works, right? It scrolls down to the bottom and keeps me up to date. So how do I do that? Well, this one's going to be a little bit more involved. For this one, we're going to have to create a scroll controller, which is a fun sentence to say. So we'll come into our JavaScript's controllers, scroll underscore controller.js, which of course means that we're going to have to do the scroll controller bound to something. But we can start by importing controller again from our pinned at hotwire/stimulus. GitHub Copilot is going to be carrying me a bit here. Then we want to do the export default class extends controller. And then we have a couple default actions that come with stimulus. So we can call connect. This will happen when the page is loaded and stimulus connects to the page. You can then say disconnect. This is sort of our cleanup method. So this is on start, and then this is going to be, on stop basically. And then we're going to have a custom function here, which we just call reset scroll. This is going to be custom function. So these come with stimulus. This is how you connect it to the page. And this comes with, I don't know, Dean, and this is how you do the thing that the video tells you how to do. So let's start with the connect method. In this case, we're going to start off by saying console.log, and we're going to say connected. And then we'll come down here and we'll say console.log disconnected. Just for now, we'll just leave it like that. And then we want to come into, and I have to open this on my other monitor as well. We want to come into our rooms index.html.erb. And in here, I have a section somewhere where I'm binding this. So let me just search for the data dash maybe. I don't know why I'm searching in this one when I should be searching in my other window. 26. So this is going down on the div ID of messages. We want to say data-controller is equal to scroll. So this is the thing, or the container that is these messages, right? So our list of messages gets put into here one by one by one by one. So that's the thing that I'm binding the scroll event to. So as soon as I do that, let me open up the console, refresh the page. You'll see that the console log for connected is fired. So whenever I refresh, it's fired. When I go over to general, it's disconnected, and then it's reconnected. So if I have an event listener that I want to clean up, I want to put that in the disconnected method. And if I want the scroll event to reset every time I go to a new page, that has to go in the connected one. So the other thing is we want it to scroll us when we first load the page as well. The way we can do that, we start off by saying const messages because we have to grab that messages container, which in this case, we gave it an ID or a div ID of messages. So let's copy that, come over here, and then we need to say document.get element by ID messages. And then we can do a messages.add event listener. And we want to add an event listener for capital DOMN, lowercase ode, inserted for DOM node inserted. And then we're going to call this function that we declared down here. We can then come down one more and we'll say this.reset scroll messages. Beautiful. We now can come into our disconnected. We could remove the event listener. In this case, I'm not going to, but if you decide you want to do some cleanup, that's where you would do it. And then in our reset scroll, we really just want to say messages.scroll top is equal to messages.scroll height minus messages.client height. And then we can save that, come over here, refresh the page, and I'm zoomed down to the bottom. And then I'll say, I don't know, I'm YouTubing, guys, please behave. And you can see that I get sent down to the bottom when I send that message. Now if I come over here and I go into general as well, and I send the message no, you'll see that we both get scrolled down. And at this point, you're basically done. So that's just implementing stimulus real quick for some basic client-side functionality. But that's going to do it for this episode. In the next episode, we will cover creating user avatars, so images for users, timestamps, and we'll work on displaying which room we're currently in. So if you're in the general room, it'll highlight the general room over here. Or if you're DMing someone, it'll highlight that room as well. So it's just going to be some styling cleanup as well as images in our chat box and our username list. So that's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you in the next video.